The wedding hall hadn't emptied yet when I saw the note fall from my daughter-in-law's purse. It was my son's wedding day, his first day as a married man, and that paper contained a plan for how to eliminate mothers-in-law. Each item was numbered. 1. Fibes, switch her medications. 2. Call the lawyer. 3. Sell the house. My hand shook. All around me, guests were cutting cake while I read those lines over and over. When the bride noticed me, she smiled, but there was something in her eyes. In that moment, I understood this wasn't just a note, it was an operation already in motion. The paper I slipped into my pocket explained everything that had happened over the past 2 weeks. But would anyone believe me tomorrow? The note had landed face up near my chair during the bouquet toss. Everyone was looking at the unmarried girls scrambling for flowers. I bent down, thinking it was trash, and saw my name written at the top. Not Linda, not Mom, but the problem. Underneath were bullet points written in neat handwriting. The bride had dropped her purse when she caught the bouquet for the photo op, a staged moment since she was already married. Items spilled out, lipstick, keys, breath mints, and this folded paper that changed everything. I stood up with the note hidden in my palm. My son was laughing with his groomsmen near the bar. The bride was posing for pictures, her dress perfect, her smile wider for each camera flash. She'd been planning this before the wedding even happened. That's what frightened me most. This wasn't impulse or anger. This was strategy. 2 weeks earlier, I'd found my blood pressure pills scattered on the bathroom floor. I assumed I'd knocked the bottle over. I picked them up, put them back, took my morning dose. That afternoon, my heart raced so badly, I called my doctor. He ran tests. Everything came back normal, he suggested stress. I believed him then. 3 days after that, my son asked to borrow my house key, said he needed to grab some old photo albums for the wedding slideshow. I gave him my spare. When I came home that evening, my jewelry box had been moved. Nothing missing, just repositioned. I told myself I was imagining things. Weddings make everyone nervous. Then my lawyer called. Someone had requested copies of my will. The office wouldn't say who, just that they'd used proper legal channels. I hadn't updated my will in 8 years. Everything went to my son. Standard, simple, no complications. Why would anyone need a copy now? I asked my son about it that night. He was at my house, in the kitchen, making coffee like he'd done 1,000 times before. He laughed it off. Said his fiancée was paranoid about proper documentation for their marriage. She wanted to make sure all family assets were clear before the wedding. It's just modern thinking, Mom, he said. Everyone does it now. I wanted to believe him. But standing in that wedding hall, holding proof of conspiracy, I couldn't pretend anymore. The bride wasn't paranoid. She was thorough. She'd been inside my house. She'd had access to my medications. She'd researched my legal status, and she'd written it all down like a project plan. I walked toward the bathroom, needing space to think. The hallway was empty, except for one of the bride's friends, scrolling through her phone. She glanced up, saw me, and her face changed. Just for a second, recognition, then calculation, then a forced smile. She knew. How many people were part of this? Had they discussed me over lunch, over wine, planning each step while I bought wedding gifts and addressed invitations? In the bathroom, I unfolded the note again. The handwriting was steady, confident. No crossouts or corrections. She'd written this cleanly, probably copied from a draft. Item 4 said document confusion. Item 5 said get son's signature on transfer papers. Item 6 said timeline, 60 days max. Today was day 1 of that timeline. 60 days to dismantle my entire life. 60 days to make me disappear from my own existence. I counted backward. If they started today, by mid-February I'd be declared incompetent, my assets transferred, my house sold. By spring I'd be in some facility while they celebrated their successful plan. I heard voices outside the bathroom door, the bride and another woman talking low. I froze. Did she see it? The other woman asked. I don't know, the bride said. It fell during the bouquet thing. I couldn't check. If she has it, you need to move faster. I know. Their footsteps faded down the hallway. My phone was in my purse, back at the table. I needed to photograph this note, send it to someone, create a backup. But who? My son wouldn't believe me. He was in love, newly married, Convinced his bride was perfect. My sister lived overseas. My closest friend had dementia now. I was isolated, and maybe that was part of the plan too. I walked back into the reception hall. The DJ was playing slow songs. Couples swayed on the dance floor. My son and his bride were in the center. Everyone watching them, phones up recording the moment. She looked radiant. He looked happy. I looked like the paranoid mother-in-law who couldn't let go. I sat down at my table. The note was still in my pocket. My purse was exactly where I'd left it, but my phone wasn't inside anymore. I checked every pocket, every compartment. Gone. I looked up and saw the bride's friend watching me from across the room. She lifted her champagne glass in a small toast. Message received. Panic settled in my chest. Without my phone, I had no photos, no contacts, no way to document what was happening. The note was evidence, but only if someone else saw it. Only if I could prove it existed before they claimed I'd forged it or imagined it. And they would claim that. I could already hear my son's voice. Mom, you're stressed. The wedding was overwhelming. You're seeing things that aren't there. I stood up and walked to the coat check. My jacket was hanging where I'd left it 3 hours ago. I put it on and headed for the exit. No one stopped me. No one even noticed. The mother of the groom leaving her son's wedding early should have caused concern, but everyone was too busy dancing. Outside, the parking lot was half empty. My car was near the back. I walked fast, keys already in my hand. Halfway there, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned. The bride's friend was following me, her heels clicking on the asphalt. Leaving so soon, she called out. I didn't answer. I got in my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. She stood in front of my car, blocking me. Not moving, just watching. I honked. She smiled. Finally she stepped aside, but slowly, like she wanted me to know she wasn't afraid. I drove past her and saw her pull out her phone. She was calling someone, probably the bride. Probably saying, she has it. She ran. I drove home the long way, checking my mirrors every 30 seconds. No one followed me, or if they did, they were better at it than I was at noticing. My house looked normal when I pulled into the driveway. Lights off, front door closed, mailbox untouched, but normal didn't mean safe anymore. Inside, I locked every door and window. I turned on all the lights. I sat at my kitchen table and spread out the note, smoothing the creases. I needed to photograph it with something. My laptop had a camera. I opened it, but the battery was dead. I searched for the charger, not in the drawer where I always kept it. Not anywhere. Someone had been in my house again. Recently. Maybe while I was at the wedding. Maybe that's why the bride's friend had stayed behind, to give someone else time to search my place. I checked my bedroom, my closet, my office. Nothing obvious was missing, but everything felt wrong. Drawers slightly open, books rearranged, the kind of disturbances you only notice if you're looking for them. I went to my neighbor's house and knocked. No answer. They were probably at their daughter's place for the weekend. I tried the house on the other side. Same thing. The whole street was quiet, empty, like everyone had coordinated their absence. I walked back home, feeling exposed. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in my living room with the note on my lap and every light on. At 2 in the morning, a car drove slowly past my house. It didn't stop, but it slowed down enough for me to notice. 20 minutes later, it passed again. Same car, same speed. I wrote down the license plate on the back of an envelope. By morning I'd made a decision. I needed an ally, someone outside the situation, who could hold on to evidence. I thought of my doctor. He'd known me for 15 years. He'd believe me, or at least listen. I waited until 8 o'clock and called his office. The receptionist said he was booked solid, but she could fit me in next Thursday, 6 days away. I didn't have 6 days. I tried my lawyer's office next. Voicemail. I left a message saying I needed to discuss my will urgently, that there might be fraud involved. I gave my callback number and hung up. Then I remembered I didn't have my phone. I'd given them my landline, which meant anyone could intercept that call if they were monitoring me. And why wouldn't they be? At 9, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw my son standing on the porch, still in his wedding suit. My heart jumped. I opened the door. He looked tired. Mom, what happened last night? Jessica said, You left without saying goodbye, Jessica. I'd never called her by name, always your fiancée, and now your wife. Hearing it made her reel in a way that hurt. I wasn't feeling well, I said. It wasn't a lie. I didn't want to ruin your night. He stepped inside without asking. His eyes scanned the living room. Was he looking for something, or was I paranoid now, about everyone, even my own son? Jessica's worried about you, he said. She thinks maybe the wedding was too much stress. There it was. The setup. Plant the idea that I was unstable, overwhelmed, not thinking clearly. When I showed him the note, he'd already have a framework to dismiss it. I needed to be careful. I'm fine, I said. Just tired. How was the rest of the night? He smiled then, and for a moment he was my boy again, happy and uncomplicated. It was perfect, Mom. Everything was perfect. I made him coffee. We sat at the kitchen table. He talked about the honeymoon plans, the new apartment, the job opportunity in another state. Another state. That was new. When did you decide to move? I asked. He shrugged. Jessica's been looking at options. Better market for her career. We haven't decided anything yet. But the way he said it sounded already decided. I searched online for information about inheritance fraud. I found articles about elder abuse, financial exploitation, undue influence. The patterns matched perfectly. Isolate the target from support systems, create dependence through helpful gestures, manufacture confusion through medication tampering. Move quickly once legal access is gained. The timeline was always short, 60 days, the note had said. After that, reversing the damage became nearly impossible. Courts sided with concerned relatives, banks honored power of attorney documents, and Jessica had been systematically destroying my credibility since before the wedding. I printed everything I found. I made copies of the note using my printer's scanner function. 3 copies. I put one in a manila envelope and addressed it to my lawyer. I put another in a safety deposit box key envelope, though I didn't have a safety deposit box. The third I kept in my purse. The original I hid inside a book on my shelf, a cookbook I never used. That afternoon, the landline rang. Unknown number, I answered, heavy breathing, then a hang-up. It rang again, 5 minutes later. Same thing. The third time I didn't answer. I unplugged the phone from the wall. Silence felt better than those breathing calls. My son came back that evening with Jessica. This time, they didn't knock. They used his key. I heard them come in while I was upstairs. I came down and found them in the kitchen. Jessica was smiling, that same smile from the wedding. We brought dinner, she said, holding up takeout bags. Thought you might not feel like cooking. We ate together. They talked about the honeymoon. Jessica asked about my medications. Are you still taking those blood pressure pills? She asked. I read they can cause dizziness. Maybe you should ask your doctor about switching. My hand froze on my fork. She was setting up the next phase. Make me think my medications were the problem, not the tampering. I'll mention it at my next appointment, I said. She nodded, satisfied. After dinner, she asked to use the bathroom. I heard her footsteps upstairs, moving through my bedroom. My son kept talking, distracting me with stories about work. When she came back down, she was holding my phone. Found this in your dresser, she said. Were you looking for it? I hadn't put it there. I'd lost it at the wedding. But now it was in my dresser, and she was the one who'd found it, and my son was looking at me with concern. Mom, are you forgetting where you put things? He asked. This was the confusion they documented in their plan. Stage it, then point it out, then use it as proof. After they left, I checked my dresser. My underwear drawer had been searched, not ransacked, just carefully gone through. They were looking for the note. They knew I had it. They needed it back. That's what the whole dinner visit was about. Return the phone as a gesture of goodwill while searching my house. The next morning, I went to the post office. I mailed the envelope to my lawyer with tracking and signature confirmation. I put the safety deposit box envelope in my purse. I kept the cookbook with the original note in my car trunk. If they came back, they'd find nothing. That night, I got a call from my son. Mom, Jessica's really worried. She thinks you might be showing signs of dementia. The forgetting, the confusion, leaving the wedding early. She wants you to see a specialist. I felt my world shrinking. This was item 4, document confusion. They were building a case. I'm not confused, I said. I'm fine. That's what people with dementia say, Mom. They don't realize it's happening. I hung up. 10 minutes later, my sister called from overseas. Your son just emailed me, she said. He says you're having memory problems. Is that true? The net was tightening. They were contacting everyone I knew, planting the same story. By the time I tried to tell the truth, no one would believe me. They'd all heard I was sick, declining, not trustworthy. I called my lawyer's office again. This time someone answered. I asked if they'd received my envelope. They checked. Nothing yet. Mail took time. I asked for an emergency appointment. The soonest they could do was next week. I made the appointment and hung up feeling like I was drowning. That afternoon Jessica showed up alone. Can we talk? She asked. I let her in because refusing would look suspicious. We sat in the living room. She was calm, friendly, concerned. I know this is hard, she said. Change is always hard, but I want you to know I'm here for you. I want us to be family. Her hand reached out and touched mine. I felt revulsion but kept my face neutral. I appreciate that, I said. She smiled. Good, because I was thinking, maybe you shouldn't be living alone anymore. This big house, all these stairs, the maintenance, it's a lot for one person. My mother's community has openings, assisted living, very nice, lots of activities, I could set up a tour. There it was, item 3, sell the house, not through force, through suggestion, through concern, through love. I'm not ready for that, I said. She nodded sympathetically. Of course not. It's just something to think about, for the future. She stood up, looked around the room. This furniture is beautiful. Antique, right? Worth a lot, probably. You should get it appraised, for insurance purposes. She was cataloging assets, planning the liquidation. After she left, I sat in the silence and understood the full scope of what they were doing. They weren't just stealing my house or my money. They were stealing my credibility first. Make me look incompetent, confused, declining. Then every legal move they made would seem like responsible children taking care of an ailing parent. The courts would side with them. Everyone would side with them. I needed proof they couldn't deny. I needed them to expose themselves. I thought about the note, hidden in my car. It was evidence, but circumstantial. Handwriting could be disputed. Context could be explained away. I needed something stronger. I needed them to act. The next day I called my son and told him I decided to update my will. I wanted to add Jessica to it. I said, make sure she was taken care of. He sounded surprised but pleased. That's really generous, Mom. I asked him to bring her over that evening so we could discuss details. He agreed immediately. Before they arrived, I set up my laptop in the living room, camera facing the couch where they'd sit. I started a recording and minimized the window. Then I took out a blank legal pad and wrote "Will Updates" at the top. When they arrived, I was sitting with the pad in my lap, looking frail and cooperative. Jessica sat close to me. My son sat across. I told them I'd been thinking about their concerns. Maybe I was forgetting things. Maybe I did need help. I want to make sure everything's clear, I said. No confusion later. Jessica's eyes brightened. That's very wise. I asked her what she thought should be in the will. She didn't hesitate, like she'd rehearsed this moment in her mind 100 times. Well, the house should probably go to your son, but maybe I should be listed as co-owner, in case something happens to him. Just for legal continuity. The phrase rolled off her tongue smoothly. Legal continuity. She'd practiced that. I wrote it down, my handwriting deliberately shaky. What else? I asked, playing the confused elder perfectly. She glanced at my son, seeking permission or confirmation. He nodded, trusting her completely, believing this was normal estate planning. Your investments, she said, leaning forward now, engaged and focused. They should be in a trust, managed by both of us. That way, if you become incapacitated, we can handle things without court intervention. There was that word again. Incapacitated. She'd used it twice now, planting it, normalizing it, preparing everyone for the inevitable diagnosis she'd arrange. I kept writing. Incapacitated. I repeated, you mean like dementia? She touched my hand again. We're just being prepared. No one wants to think about it, but it's responsible. I looked at my son. Is this what you want? He shifted uncomfortably. I want what's best for you, Mom. I put down the pen. What's best for me, or what's best for you? Silence. Jessica's smile faltered. I'm not sure what you mean, she said. I reached into my purse and pulled out the copy of the note. I unfolded it on the table between us. I mean this. Your plan. The one you dropped at the wedding. Jessica's face went blank. My son leaned forward, reading. His expression changed as he went through each line. What is this? He asked. Ask your wife, I said. Jessica recovered quickly. I've never seen that before. Where did you get it? From the floor, at your wedding. It fell out of your purse. She shook her head. That's not my handwriting. I'd expected that. We can verify that, I said. Forensically. My son was staring at her now. Jessica, what is this? She stood up, angry now. This is exactly what I was worried about. She's making things up. She's paranoid. Look at her. She's recorded this whole conversation without telling us. That's not legal. I glanced at my laptop. She'd seen the camera light. Didn't matter. I had the recording. Why did you search my house? I asked. Why did you move my phone? Why did you ask about my medications? Jessica's face hardened. Because you're sick. Because you need help. Because your son asked me to check on you. My son stood up too. I didn't ask you to do any of that. Jessica turned to him. Yes, you did. You said your mother was declining. You said we needed to act fast before she did something dangerous. I never said that, my son said, his voice rising. You said that to me. The room cracked open. They started arguing. Jessica claimed my son had initiated everything. My son swore he'd only mentioned. I seemed stressed. Jessica said she was protecting the family. My son asked protecting from what? Jessica said protecting from me, from my confusion, from my bad decisions that would hurt everyone. I sat quietly while they unraveled. Finally, my son turned to me. Is this real? This note? I nodded. He read it again, slower this time. His face changed with each line. When he finished, he looked at Jessica. Did you write this? She didn't answer right away. That pause was everything. I was researching, she finally said. Looking up information. That's not a crime. Researching how to eliminate my mother. His voice was shaking. It's not what it looks like, Jessica said. But it was exactly what it looked like, and we all knew it. My son picked up the note. I'm keeping this, he said to her. We're leaving. We need to talk. Jessica's eyes met mine, pure hatred. She'd lost, and she knew it. They left together, but I heard them arguing in the driveway. Doors slammed, an engine started, then silence. I stopped the recording on my laptop. I had everything, the note, the recording, the confession, the anger. I emailed the video file to my lawyer with a detailed explanation. Then I copied it to a flash drive. Then I uploaded it to a cloud service. Multiple backups, multiple locations. They couldn't erase this. That night, my son called. Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I believed him. He'd been a tool, not a conspirator. What are you going to do? I asked. I don't know, he said. I need time to think. I told him to take all the time he needed. 2 days later, I got a call from Jessica. We should meet, she said. Her voice was different now. No sweetness, just cold calculation. What you have isn't proof of anything. It's a list, could be notes from a TV show, a novel, anything. You're trying to ruin my marriage, and you look crazy doing it. Then why are you calling? I asked. She was quiet for a moment. Because I'm willing to walk away, divorce, clean break. No drama, but you need to give me something. Compensation for the emotional distress you've caused. She wanted money, blackmail in reverse. How much? I asked, curious. 50,000. That's fair. I almost laughed. I'm not giving you anything, I said. Talk to my lawyer. I hung up. She called back twice. I didn't answer. The next day my lawyer called me. Jessica had reached out to his office, claiming I was incompetent and requesting a capacity evaluation. My lawyer had reviewed my emailed materials. We're prepared to fight this, he said. You have everything you need. The divorce papers were filed within a week. My son moved back home temporarily while he sorted things out. He'd lost weight, wasn't sleeping. How did I not see it? He kept asking. I didn't have an answer. Love makes people blind. Trust makes them vulnerable. She'd used both against him. Jessica fought the divorce aggressively, claimed abandonment, asked for substantial alimony, wanted half of my son's assets, including future inheritance rights. Her lawyer tried multiple tactics. They subpoenaed me, claiming I'd manipulated my son against his wife through elder abuse allegations. They requested psychological evaluations for both my son and me, suggesting we were mentally unstable. They even tried to have the recording thrown out, claiming it violated wiretapping laws. My lawyer shut down each attempt methodically. Once the judge heard Jessica's voice on that recording, discussing trusts and incapacitation strategies, asking about my medication schedule, the tone in the courtroom shifted dramatically. The judge ordered a handwriting analysis of the note. It matched Jessica's signature from the marriage certificate. She withdrew her claims suddenly, accepted a minimal settlement, and signed papers agreeing never to contact our family again. 6 months later, it was over. Divorce finalized, Jessica out of our lives. My son slowly recovering. We never found out how many people were involved in her plan. The friend from the wedding disappeared from social media entirely. The slow-driving car never came back. Maybe it was just Jessica and one accomplice. Maybe it was bigger. I'll never know. My son went to therapy, processing the betrayal. His therapist said manipulators target people's best qualities: trust, generosity, love. That gave him some comfort. My son asked me once why I'd set up the laptop recording that night. Why didn't you just call the police with the note? I thought about it. Because the note alone wasn't enough. I needed her to incriminate herself. I needed you to hear it directly. He nodded. You were 3 steps ahead. I'd had to be. She'd been 5 steps ahead of me from the start. Now I keep the note in a safe, original, not a copy. My lawyer has copies. My sister has copies. My son has a copy. If anything happens to me, if I die unexpectedly or suddenly develop dementia, there's a paper trail now. There's context. There's proof that someone tried this before. People ask if I'm angry. I'm not. Anger would mean I didn't see it coming, that I was shocked by human capacity for cruelty. I'm not shocked. I'm careful. There's a difference. I check my medications every day. I document everything. I don't give spare keys to anyone anymore, not even my son. He's dating again now. Different kind of woman, quieter, less polished. She doesn't ask about my will or my house. She doesn't offer to help organize my medications. She just talks to me like a person, not a problem to solve. Maybe she's genuine. Maybe I've become too suspicious to ever fully trust again. But I'll tell you this, if I ever see another note fall from another purse, I won't hesitate. I'll pick it up, I'll read it, and I'll act. Because the people who plan these things count on silence. They count on disbelief. They count on victims being too embarrassed or too frightened to speak up. I wasn't silent. I spoke up, and because I did, I still have my house, my independence, and my son. That note tried to take everything from me. Instead, it saved me. Sometimes the evidence you need falls right at your feet. You just have to be brave enough to pick it up.